Hello everyone, Buffalo Stick. Welcome to the sequel to this video where I go through a whole bunch of albums that I haven't reviewed but I totally have listened to a whole bunch of times, and I'm going to rank them from worst to best. And yeah, I just find roundup videos in general just insanely exhausting to fucking do, so I just thought this format kind of works. I could just kind of ramble about it, talk about each album as much as I fucking want, I guess. You remember in the last one, I totally had a... Yeah, we got a few 1 out of 10s to kick off the list. Oh wait, nope, it's gone. Let me bring it. There we go. Nope, did it wrong again. I'm just trying to exist. Can you just stay? Legit, why won't it just fucking stay? Yeah, I think it'll be alright. There. Okay, nice. All right. So anyway, we got a few ones on the list. Just a couple. You know, nothing too crazy. To be fair, I have kind of avoided quite a few of the huge, terrible albums that have come out this year. I've not really listened to too many of the big like pieces of shit. Just a few here and there. So when it comes to making my worst albums list, I might have to go on like a big terrible album binge just to catch up on all that shit. So leave in the comments any particularly god-awful albums I should totally listen to. But yeah, now we're just gonna start with the thing. Don Brocco with Technology. Oh my god, this is the greatest comedy album ever fucking made. 1 out of 10. Next up it is Zane with Icarus Falls. Dude, Zane, you really think you're like, bro, no one gives a fuck about you like that, Zane, bro. You got 27 tracks, 88 minutes, Icarus Falls, you got the album cover. Like, you really think you're all that, bro? Mate, you're just doing this for the streams. Why the fuck is this 27? This was the most shallow, predictable shit ever for 27 tracks. His singing is so bad, dude. He's not good at all. He's honestly shit as fuck. But yeah, anyway, let me just move on to that's the only ones I had, 1 out of 10 albums I had. So yeah, moving on to the 2s. The 1975 with a brief inquiry into online relationships. Love It If We Made It. The hook on that song is tight, but everything else can like fuck right off, dude. This thing made me feel very sick and queasy. But Siri's verse was flames, bro. Panic at the Disco with Pray for the Wicked. I couldn't finish this album. It was just so loud and annoying. It was just the most obnoxious shit in the world. So yeah, I actually didn't make it to the end because it was just so fucking infuriating. Next up is Mers with A Strange Journey into the Unimaginable. Yeah, you should rename this album Old Heads Unite, because oh my god, the beats are the most generic fucking sample flips of all time. The lyrics are just absolute cringe, and that like superhero house party song or something, that was so corny. This is the corniest fucking album ever. It makes Logic look like fucking Aesop Rock or something. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, moving on, we're into the 3s now. Those are the only 2s. Mind Over Mirrors with Bellowing Sun. This album just never went anywhere. It wasn't like hypnotizing or mesmerizing at all. It was just pretty bland. It wasn't very immersive. It's like an electronic album. It's way too long, and it just spends so much time just meandering, not really actually building much of a potent atmosphere. So yeah, didn't like it. Next up it is Childish Gambino with the Summer Pack he released. Where the fuck is that final album supposed to be, bro? I thought he was gonna release like his final Gambino album or some shit. I guess that's not happening. I don't fucking know. But yeah, I mean, This Is America was tight, but these 2 songs are the safest shit of all time. They're safe and bland. Don't like it. Next up is Lavender Flu with Mow the Glass. Most lifeless vocals in the game, dude. It sounds like it was mixed using the most high-tech cardboard imaginable. Like, it was still cardboard, but it's like the best of the cardboard. Because it sounds like professional-ish, but it just sounds fucking shit and messy. So it's like high-tech cardboard is what was used to mix this album. Trust me, I got some inside info and I can confirm cardboard was used. I don't know what the... Anyway, let me just move on. Reason released his new album, Old Heads Unite 2, the sequel, this time with more 808s and hi-hats. Next up, it's Suicide Boys with I Want to Die in New Orleans. Love me some Suicide Boys. Some good old loud staccato flows with violent trap production. Gotta love a bit of that shit. Psych, actually, I don't love that. It's horrible. Next up, it is Bladey with Red Light. This dude is straight up the worst performer of all time. The beats are occasionally quite melodic and nice and cool and shit, but he is straight up the worst fucking vocalist in history. Like, holy shit. Next up, it's Ty Segall and White Fence. Ty Segall, with the album Joy, Ty Segall goes ahead and does the exact same thing he always fucking does, but now with his sidekick White Fence, and they just make a whole bunch of not very well developed tracks. It's pretty sure. Oh, this is a 4. Sorry, there you go. 4. Yeah, sorry, cool. Stokely by Ski Mask. The Slump God. Not a Ski Mask fan. I find him insanely gimmicky and obnoxious, but the beats on this one were definitely the least grating. of his career so far. They weren't very wild, and they didn't really match the eccentricities of him as a rapper. They're pretty tame, but they were definitely the least annoying. But yeah, some of the bars on this fucking album suck. That foreplay line on Foot Fungus was terrible. Jesus. Poppy with I am a girl. No, am I a girl? Yeah, she just kind of acts like a playful, cutesy weirdo over some pretty cliche pop songs. Nothing crazy. Next up is Tabby with Peach Fuzz. I'm just going to let Here Lies Music take this one. Roll the Titus Andronicus route.
If I had to listen to that garbage disposal that man calls a voice for even a moment longer, I'd voluntarily deafen myself.
Silver Q with Florida Man. Fuck, I was rooting for you, bro. I love you. Silver Q, I love you. I truly love you. As a human being, I fucking think you're the coolest, but this was corny as fuck. Oh, wow. Some of the beats you picked were not good, bro. You picked some bad ones. And this was, like, only available on YouTube. And all the music videos you made for this were just cringy, dude. I wish I liked this more, but it was just kind of corny, in my opinion. Sorry. I love you, though. Sandra Perry with In Another Life. The first track on this album had no right being over 20 minutes. Went fucking nowhere. But the song with Destroyer was kind of lit, so cool. Jaden Smith with Sire, the Electric album. Basically,
oh, people broke this auto-tune sound.
The album. Available now, only on the Disney Channel, bitch. Buddy with Harlan and Alondra. I don't fucking know, dude. Oh, this is the 5 out of 10 section. We're in the 5 out of 10 albums now. That feel when you're an average rapper and you, just gotta play it safe for your debut album. I know, right? That's this Buddy album. It's just a bit safe and lame. Helena Hoff? I don't know what this one is. I mean, how to pronounce this one. Quam is the name of the album. This shit was just, the synths on this thing sounded really kind of sharp and static and awkward, and this thing was kind of shooting for a very mechanical and robotic sound, but it did so at the sacrifice of actually making well-crafted, compelling songs, in my opinion, that actually had much of a drawing point to them. So it's a bit, I don't know, nothing wild. Next up, it's Amnesia Scanner with Another Life. Some amazing sound play on here, but oh my god, it's annoying. Like, if there's one thing this album could definitely use more of, it is obnoxious screeching noises and horrible vocals. There's nowhere near enough horrible vocals and nowhere near enough annoying screeching sounds. That's what this album needs more of, dude. You know, if you could just pepper the tracks with more obnoxious screeching blaring sounds, that would make it so much better, because there's just not enough. Moving on, we have Cursive with Vitriola. Literally nothing memorable about this fucking album, which is a shame, because I like Cursive. I think Domestica's really sick, so that's a shame. Lily Allen with No Shame. Lily herself is quite charming on this thing, but the production is just always shooting for the most, like, passive sound palette imaginable, so this thing is just not very exciting to listen to. But Lily Allen herself is quite nice. You know, she's a pretty compelling songwriter, I think, and yeah, she's got a lot of personality and shit, but yeah, the production here is just not interesting, so. Yeah, Cypress Hill with Elephants on Acid. This is bloated as fuck. Way too many really dated, just boom-bap posse cuts that just do nothing really for me. A couple pretty fun jams, but yeah, this album kind of rehashes the same ideas again and again, too, across its runtime, so yeah, I wasn't really big on it. Next up, it's Harunamari with Haruts, that one, you know the one. Would have enjoyed this more if the genre blending didn't feel just so forced to me. But, yeah, anyway, moving over, it's Milo. With budding fucking ornithologists are weary of tired analogies. Quotables for days, as usual, but the, you know, the sound palette on this thing is just so lazy and bland and nowhere near as alluring as the previous few Milo albums. I normally think his other ones are way more witty and philosophical and spellbinding, but this one here was nowhere near as thought-provoking or, you know, engaging to me. So yeah, probably one of my least favorite releases under the Milo name, which is a bit of a shame because apparently it's his final album under the Milo name, so that's a bit of a shame, but maybe he'll continue releasing music under Scallops Hotel and shit, so I don't know. But yeah, anyway, Catherine Joseph. Why the fuck is this a 5? I need to bring this shit. Let me bring this up real quick. Sorry. This grew on me like quite a bit, so I'm gonna bring that up a little bit too. Let's go up here. I'm gonna put it right. Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna put it right there. Cool. Found a nice little spot for it. Okay, we'll come back to that one later. Where did I leave off again? Was Liliana? Harunamari. Polyphia with New Levels, New Devils. Okay, so Math Trap is this album. It's like Math Rock with a whole bunch of 808s. I mean, I'm pretty sure this hasn't been done before. I don't really think he needs to do it again. There's not really too much you can do with it. It's just like, hey, math rock, but like 808s, you know? Whoa, it's nothing crazy. Riley Walker with the Deaf Man Glance. Pretty pleasant indie rock with some sweet lyrics and nice gentle guitar melodies. But the musical ideas here just, they're either way too standard or they're just not developed enough. And ultimately it just wasn't that rewarding of a listen. Tony Molina with Kill the Lights. Literally everything I just said for that last album I just talked about pretty much. So yeah, cool. Gorilla Toss with Twisted Crystal. It's basically just the last album again, really. I don't really know what to add. It's just a bit half-baked, in my opinion. Next up, we have Daniel Aged with Daniel Aged. Some pretty nice, soft, watery atmospheres going on with this album, but it kind of wears a bit thin, and the short run times don't really add too much either. Very rarely does anything stand out on this thing. So, Object with a K, with a Cocoon Crush. Pretty nocturnal and robotic electronic shit right here, but most of the songs fail to offer something that other tracks on the album don't really already do, and it kind of trails off quite a lot in the second half as well. So next up, it's 88 Rising with Head in the Clouds. Got a few pretty nice little singles off here, but ultimately it's a very bloated and corny, shallow and filler heavy record that doesn't do much for me, but there are a couple decent singles, so it's alright. Next up, it's Street Sex with the Kicking Mule. Incredibly standard synth punk right here. That doesn't come anywhere near close to the intensity of their previous album, End Position. But it wasn't badly executed. It's just not that interesting to me. Lil Wayne's The Carter 5 came out, which is crazy, and it was way too long. And yeah, moving on. Next up. It's a bit too long. I'm gonna just leave it. That's the only thing I'm ever gonna say on the Cart Fight. It took 9 million years to come out just for me to say it was a bit too long. Moving on from there, it is Toe with Our Latest Number. I love Toe because A, they're called Toe, which is great. B, they're good, so I like them for that too. But they retread kind of the same territory on this new EP that they've already done in the past. Just some really nice, warm, melodic math rock shit. It's not really anything outside their comfort zone, and I think they've done it better in the past anyway, so yeah, nothing crazy. Next up, I have Hovdi with Cranberry. Really pretty, actually, at times. There are some really nice little delicate, gentle moments on here, but it's just way too reserved and subdued to ever jump out at you as something more than background music, really, so yeah. Next up, I have Young Thug with Slime Language. I like Audemars. I think Audemars is a cool song, but ultimately this is just a very inessential release for him, in my opinion. Geico with Basic Volume. There is so much to love about this album's atmosphere. It is thick, it is haunting, but oh my god, the vocals! Can they just not do that thing where they exist there and completely take me out of that atmosphere every 4 seconds? Like, not good. Next up, I have Jaden Smith with the Sunset Tapes, a cool tape story. To be fair, I gave it a 5, but this is actually a lot worse than a 5. I'm just a bit of a slut for his beats, so yeah. Next up, it's Vessel with Queen of Golden Dogs. Ridiculously creative, but the genre blending here never really amounts to anything, in my opinion. It's pretty unrewarding. Unrewarding, is that a word? Gershon's Meteorological Orchestra with something from the early 70s. My boy Josh released a couple albums this year. Heard both of them. They both appear on this list. It's coming soon. We have the other one. But yeah, this is the first one, and I don't really think many of the songs here kind of give you something different. A lot of the tracks here offer kind of the same emotional response out of me. I quite liked the one with all the underscores, though. There's like 2 tracks with a bunch of underscores. The longer one was tight as shit. It was a pretty lengthy track, and yeah, the way the distortion kind of crashes down on the song is actually really quite riveting, but for the most part, this album kind of meandered a little bit too much and just kind of felt a bit too empty without ever really building to anything massively rewarding. Kind of felt like it was always heading somewhere, but never quite getting there for me. But yeah, definitely a solid debut for what it was, but in regards to my personal enjoyment from the record, I'm gonna have to go 5. But yeah, the next one was a big step up, I'm just saying. Next up is Christine and the Queens with Chris. Some pretty great jams, some pretty solid hooks. That opening track is the shit. I also quite like Damn What Must a Woman Do. That one's pretty cool. Girlfriend's cool. $5, quite a passionate track right there, but I just think the sound palette and the general execution and approach to the music on this thing was just a little bit too safe. It just kind of sounds like some pretty generic synth pop. It's not really all that exciting to me personally. Next up, I have Dirty Projectors with Lamp Lit Pros. Too many of the sounds here just collided with other sounds in ways that I just thought was just doesn't really work. Like too much on this record contradicts how it should be, if that makes sense. Like sometimes you'll get a sound that contradicts another sound and makes the track just feel awkward, And yeah, it's just way too angular and obnoxious to listen to at times. But it's got a few pretty decent hooks, so it's whatever. But yeah, next up I have Indie with Precipice. Pretty heavenly instrumentals, but oh my god, she sounds exactly, and I mean exactly, I'm telling you, fucking exactly like Bjork. Like legit, you could show any song off this record to a Bjork stan that knows like every Bjork song, and there's a good fucking chance they'll hear it and be like, and if you just don't show them who the artist is, like there's a good chance they'll hear that and think, oh, what Bjork song is this? Like they'll be like, instantly they'll think it sounds so much like Bjork. It's so fucking Bjork. Even the instrumentals sound like Bjork instrumentals. But yeah, I mean, it was quite lovely. It was quite pleasant, but it was just the Bjork worship was a bit much. So Metro Boomin up next with Not All Heroes Wear Capes. Mate, that fucking Don't Come Out the House, so good. And 10 Freaky Girls too, so good. That track with Travis Scott, the second track with that fucking slick sample, awesome. The tracks with Sway Lee, garbage. That track with Offset that had that weird kind of reggae fusion shit, garbage. It's super inconsistent, but oh man, the high points are fucking fun. I also quite like the closer. Yeah, that's the end of the 5s. Now moving on to the 6s. Next up I have Pigs with King of Cowards. Some pretty cool grungy noise rock right here. I quite love the crescendo on the 3rd song, but most of these songs here kind of felt a bit too similar, a bit of a stagnant album, but the high points were definitely decent, so cool. Daphne and Celeste Save the World. Pretty sticky, pretty bubbly, pretty sugary tracks right here, but occasionally it's just a little bit overkill for me, a little bit too on the sweet side, to the point where it's just like a little sickening. But you know, there were definitely some memorable moments, so it's whatever. Next up I have Simeon Mobile Disco with Murmurations. Yeah, the features from Deep Throat Choir. Great name. Great name, Deep Throat Choir. Yeah, they were cool. They were a bit of a mixed bag. Sometimes they totally ruined the tracks they were on, or sometimes they really enhanced them to make for something really memorable. But ultimately, yeah, it's a solid, pretty cool, angular, you know, techno album. So would recommend it if you're into that genre. But yeah, moving on from there, I have Dead Can Dance. I wish these tracks were just a little bit more progressive, because the atmospheres they build are definitely potent, but they often just kind of loop the same thing, or don't really move the tracks into... They don't really move the tracks into anywhere that's massively compelling or rewarding by the end, really, to me. So I'll go with a 6. Sons of Kemet up next with Your Queen is a Reptile. Man, this album, it's when the vocals are there, it's fucking awesome. But mate, the middle portion of this record, for the most part, is just kind of doing the same thing again and again. It's not really pushing any massively exciting ideas for Afro jazz. It's just a little bit tedious of a listen. It's a pretty monotonous record in my opinion. But man, when it gets really ferocious and exciting with those vocal performances, oh dude, this shit gets so good. But yeah, I don't know. Most of it just kind of bored the shit out of me, to be honest. So that's a bit of a shame. But yeah, Suicide Year with Color the Weather. Pretty cool, spacey, nocturnal, future bass record right here. Some slick melodies going on and some really snappy percussion, although sometimes the drum work felt a little bit tacky and kind of contradicted the atmosphere that was being built in an awkward way for me, but for the most part, this was quite cool. Dorian Concept with The Nature of Imitation. Some of the grooves on this thing are just total clusterfucks, and just don't really feel like comfortable blends of ideas at all. It just kind of feels like a mess a lot of the time. But occasionally there'll be some really nice little pretty melodic moments that just keep me in a pretty hypnotized loop. But yeah, and some of the soloing on here is really annoying. So yeah, for the most part I found it a little bit obnoxious, but it had some pretty cool high moments, so that's pretty nice. Lonnie Holly with The Myth. This thing was quite poignant, considering that's all just raw thoughts, all completely improvised, and it's just like tackling and deconstructing the torment of racism in America in such a blunt and fucking like in-your-face oppressive way. Through its just everything on this album just feels so like from the fucking heart and raw. Which I do love, and the instrumentals really complement how fucking tortured he sounds when he's just bellowing out these just like these just off the dome, just like fucking raw thoughts about the problems in the US in regards to racism, politics. It's quite a political record, but I do think there is a lot of poignancy in that, but it does that for the entire runtime pretty much, and it's like 70 minutes long. and it just kind of pushes the same idea a bit much, and also his vocals can get a little bit over the top to the point where it kind of depletes a lot of the emotional weight of some of the shit he says for me, so I'm a little bit on the fence with it, but it is definitely worth a look because it is quite unique. Saint Seneca with Pillar of Nah. I'm a fucking dickhead for not reviewing this album because I actually fucking asked for a review copy for it, and I got one, and I didn't review it, so I'm a dick. But it's probably my least favorite Saint Seneca record to date, unfortunately. I do think the writing is the most poetic on this thing, but yeah, just the grooves and the musicality here isn't quite as strong or as catchy as it was before, and the vocal performances were a little bit grating too, so I'm a little bit on the fence, but the raw sound is still well executed here, and I do still enjoy quite a few cuts. Like that second track is nice, and that closer was pretty decent too, but yeah, ultimately it didn't really stick with me in the same way the other ones have done. So next up is Kirk Knight with It Is What It Is, or IIWII. And yeah, his beats are dope as fuck, but him as a rapper is just not that engaging, unfortunately. And he's not really that good at hooks either, but I will say, Different Day is quite a banger, to be honest. I love those horns, it's just so fucking hypnotic, it's really cool. And Teenage Wrist is up next with Chrome Neon Jesus, some cool, catchy, shoegazy shit right here, but occasionally it's a little bit too corny and sweet, and a bit just, I don't know, just skin-crawlingly just like trying so hard to sound all reverby and beautiful, and it can be a bit annoying. But when it strikes a fine balance, it can be really quite lovely to listen to, so not bad. Ryan Sheehan with A Quiet Divide. Again, a little bit too over the top for me. Some of the builds in this thing were kind of shooting for way too much, in my opinion. It was a little bit too just like fucking really orchestral sound palette here. Just it's super cinematic, but it just feels like a bit much. It doesn't really, you know, it results in songs that just kind of make you feel like it's just trying a bit too hard, and that kind of loses the, you know, emotional punch a little bit. The impact is cheapened by it a little bit for me, but yeah, still pretty solid, so cool. Next up is my phone ringing. My phone is not ringing. Skeleton Witch is up next. Devouring Radiant Light is the album, and I feel like this, there are some cool blends of black metal and thrash metal, but I don't really think the ideas from both of the genres that this thing brings together were very interesting or original ideas at all. It kind of takes just the core fundamental basics of both thrash metal and black metal and just kind of fuses them to make a handful of songs that are semi-engaging, but nothing all that impressive, you know? Lil Yachty's Nothing to Prove is up next. One of my favorite Lil Yachty release to date, honestly. The first half of this thing is the shit. Opening track, love that beat, god damn. The track with Juice WRLD was actually kind of charming. I thought they played off each other quite nicely, Lil Yachty and Juice WRLD. And there was one other track I really enjoyed in the first half, but I can't remember what it was. Second half had a few good ones, but it was mostly duds for me in the second half. But yeah, first half, cool. Next up I have, oh, I'm the Mac is really bad though. Next up it's Horrendous with Idol. I actually don't remember this at all, whatsoever. I should not comment on it because I can't remember it, but I have it as a 6. So I guess I slightly enjoyed it, but I don't really remember much, so I'm gonna just skip ahead to Mitski with Be the Cowboy. Yeah, I actually listened to this again pretty recently. I just don't really think it has that much, you know, distinguishable character, really. I mean, it's got some nice songwriting, like a Pearl. I quite like a Pearl. I think Nobody is quite lovely. There's a bit of a dance punky influence there, which I think is quite a nice, kind of new wavy. Pretty cool. Geyser, love Geyser. Thought that open a good opener, like Geyser. And I think the kind of cinematic build of Pink in the Night is quite cool too. But yeah, I just find her as a singer to just not be all that captivating. I don't really think she has that much charm, and she barely really sounds like she believes a lot of what she says. She doesn't really sell it too well in a way that really moves me like that. And some of her writing can feel a little bit, I don't know, cheap, I guess. But yeah, it's not really, and a lot of the a lot of the brief song lengths on this thing don't really benefit this album either. So it's okay, it's not bad, yeah, whatever. Anyway, moving on. It's Sun Kill Moon with This Is My Dinner. Occasionally it's pretty witty, but Jesus Christ, why the fuck is he rambling so long about the most completely pointless shit that no one is asking to hear about, you know? Like, fucking hell, like, we don't give a shit about the candles in some fucking hotel you stayed at or whatever, and he's been trying to give it, like, some emotional weight and have the instrumental swell up, and it's like, oh, the candles, like, Jesus Christ, dude, no one gives a shit about these candles, bro, and he'll talk about some stuff that just has nothing to do with anything, and it's just so completely fucking, like, pointless. So, like, dude, who cares? And he just tries to give it so much, like, gravity, and it's like, fuck. it's not worth it now. And there are occasionally a few pretty funny moments, like that opening track did have me laughing quite a bit. And the instrumentals are pretty solid. Some nice kind of jazz rocky, lounge rocky kind of instrumentals here that are pretty nice and delicate and easy on the ears. But yeah, this is like the rambliest thing he's ever made, and it just got a little bit much for me. But still, didn't dislike my time with it. I did get a few solid chuckles out of it, but I don't think I'd ever return to a single song on this again. But my time with it was ultimately positive, I guess. So 6 out of 10 it is for me. Shit, I went on for a bit too long about that one. But yeah, next up it's Birds in Row with We Already Lost the World. Some pretty brutal post-hardcore right here. Like the vocals in this thing, I just don't really think it does anything too interesting with the genre as a whole, really. I think it's pretty generic for post-hardcore, but still not bad. Felicia Atkinson and Jeffrey Cantu-Ledesma with Limpid as the Solitude. Some really phenomenal drones and textures in this thing. Man, the fucking atmospheres here are strong, but the weird little kind of sound effects of like phones and shit in the background kind of took me out of it a little bit. Didn't really add much to it for me, and I think it's overall one of his more just lukewarm releases for Jeffrey Cantu-Ledesma, but still not too bad. Freddie Gibbs' Currency and The Alchemist with Fetty. Yeah, I need to come back to this, but the production was not pulling me in at all, but I need to come back to it. I don't really have too strong of a memory of how I felt, but yeah, I didn't really find the production all that interesting. And I actually thought Currency sounded pretty good. I remember thinking Currency was on par with Freddie for the most part, but ultimately the listening experience just wasn't that memorable for me. Ariana Grande with Sweetener, some total fucking bangers on here. Successful is the shit. God is a Woman is the shit. The Light is Coming is also kind of the shit. But the Pharrell production gets a little bit stale for me, and some of the lyrics are just shit as well. So yeah, 6 out of 10, but yeah, not bad actually. I think it's one of our better albums. Oh my god, where the fuck am I? Ariana Grande is the one I just talked about. Alvinoto and Ryuichi Sakamoto with Glass, bitch. It's like 1 track long, 30-something minutes. It's an ambient track with elements of glitch too, and the elements of glitch kind of distracted me a little bit too much. I kind of found it hard to really get fully lost in this thing, but it was definitely quite transfixiating. That is definitely not a word. But yeah, the kind of weird, glitchy, sort of like harsh sound effects that popped in throughout the whole thing just felt a little bit out of place to me and kind of rarely added to the experience of listening to this. And I feel like that idea has been done way better on previous Alvinoto and Ryuichi Sakamoto collaborative stuff. So yeah, here I just didn't really seem to explore the potential in that idea any further. But yeah, moving on from there, I have Nina Cherry with Broken Politics, produced by Fortet. Some of the production was really good on this thing, but I gotta be honest, man, this is another one to where I barely fucking remember it. I'm gonna need to come back to it to update you with proper thoughts and shit. Mine is 1.5. Used to have this a little bit lower, but man, some of the bangers on this thing are fun as hell. It's actually quite a bit of character to this album. The production is pretty quirky and bonkers, and Amine as a performer, he's not the best writer at all. Like, that opening track was honestly just so fucking limp and weak. Like, it's about like, oh, Doctor Whoever, like he's talking to his doctor, like his therapist, but the therapist is the listener, like he's writing to his fans and shit, and they're like, his therapist is getting shit off his chest to whoever's listening, Doctor Whoever, you know. I like the idea, but the way he went about it, just like lyrically, and the way he worded it and wrote it, just wasn't really all that compelling or riveting at all. Like, his storytelling is just a little bit weak. But yeah, some of the fun, brief, like quick, like concise little bangers on this thing, some of them were quite entertaining for me. I think the production is just really cool and quirky and just like odd and erratic and fun. So yeah, not bad. Marabou State with Kingdoms in Color, really relaxing stuff right here. Some nice, pretty cool hypnotic grooves, but way too much of it just kind of plays it super safe to the point where it just becomes background music really easily. After that, it's Pink Sifu with Ensley. If you're into the production style of rappers like Mike and Cities of Eve, or the production on the new Earl Sweatshirt album, if you like that kind of sound, that kind of weird psychedelic, like muffled, lo-fi, sample-driven, you know, kaleidoscopic, hypnotic kind of production shit. If you're into that stuff, then go check out this album, but be warned, it is way too long, but you might find some good shit on here, so yeah, go check it out. Light Years with Afterlife, pretty cliche generic pop punk, but man, quite a few of these songs were really catchy, so I'll give it a 6, even though it did kind of make me feel a little bit sick at a few times, because it was just so generic, like, back at the girl in high school, yeah, I'm gonna get the class in the classroom in the high school, like, yeah, you know, that type of shit. Yeah, it was a bit too much on that side of the spectrum for me to really enjoy it like that, but a few songs were genuinely really, really good, like hook-wise, so yeah, cool. Thou with Magus on Sacred Bones. yeah, some of the lengthier tracks are actually super fucking atmospheric and strong. But yeah, way too many inessential songs for me to say I really enjoyed it like that. But yeah, some of the lengthier cuts here are serious fucking monsters, so worth giving a try. I might come back to it, actually. I think I might like it more on a re-listen, but yeah, we'll see. St. John Hawk and Zora Jones with Vicious Circles, the EP that they released. Actually might take this higher up on the list. There's actually, I listened to it again recently, and it's actually the shit, to be honest, so I'm gonna go ahead and put that way up here. Higher up in the list, like right there. I'll do. Cool. Moving on. Where the fuck was I? Okay. Where'd yeah. Georgia Clinton was Sly. There's something really nostalgic about this album to me. I don't know what it is. It just sounds really kind of warm and pretty and hypnotizing. His performances are really passionate too. But yeah, I can't really say it reached a point that I felt was higher than a 6, really. There are a few pretty sweet tracks, like Livin' Loose, the opener was really nice. But yeah, a lot of these songs just kind of didn't stand out or didn't really offer anything massively new compared to other tracks. And it just kind of felt a little bit redundant by the end, but there were definitely some cool jams on here, so not bad. I'll give it a 6. Denzel Curry's Taboo was really disappointing in this thing. I thought it was a total fucking mess, to be honest. I think some of the writing on this thing is awful. There were some really bad one-liners too, like the Go Hard Like Timmy line is a big no. The fucking laundry detergent shit, that roller coaster bar was bad. Plenty of pretty awful, cringy one-liners on this thing. But for the most part, this whole thing just sounds really tacky to me. Like, the beats just sound really thrown together and just not all that creative at all. And just, yeah, Denzel, this thing is at its best when it's going insane, like at the end of the last few tracks where it just really goes fucking wild. Because, yeah, for the most part, I don't know, I just felt it was a little bit underwhelming for Denzel. I don't really find it all that impressive. I'd say I much preferred Imperial, personally. The Frights with Hypochondriac. Shout out to Here Lies Music. I love you. I hope you're doing good, buddy. Your videos were the shit. I miss you so fucking much. You were so great. Yeah, I respect that you're part of a band now and you're trying to pursue that shit. So yeah, keep killing it out there, bro, because you gotta say, you did a good job with this album. I thought it was quite catchy. So yeah, not bad, buddy. It was pretty fun. Robin with Honey, he's not watching this, but Robin with Honey trailed off big in the second half, but some really cool, bangs in the first half. Next up, it's Flasher with Constant Image. Bro, imagine this, right? You get post-punk, and you throw in some new wave influences. That's never been done. Red Shape with A Soul Game. If you're into the field, you might like this. Some pretty sweet ambient techno shit right here. The first half of this album is stellar, but the second half gets a little bit bloated with the track length just being way too long a lot of the time. But yeah, the first half, like Pursuit, is sick as fuck. Love that song. The Long Cut with Arrows. Some pretty cool indie rock shoegaze fusion shit right here. Some really pretty songs on this thing. I think there was one track, I think it was track 6 or 4. Fuck, I'll put the name of it on the screen right now, but that shit was so good, so yeah, cool. Dina Abdel Wahed with Connor. Yeah, some cool, like, industrial, deconstructed club techno shit that occasionally was a little bit flat and lacking in massively interesting sound play, but when it hit, it was pretty nocturnal and creepy and fun. So cool. Nostrum Grosses with the self-titled, this is Milo and Lucid's collaborative album. Yeah, again, production, the sound of this thing is just not really all that engaging to me. I think it's a little bit lazy. Doesn't really carve itself out much of an identity, but I do think Lucid and Milo play off each other really well, so there is that. Moving on from there, I have Super Silent with 14. Barely remember this, but it was pretty pleasant on the ears, kind of subtle and subdued and atmospheric, but yeah, it's like an improvisational, like, experimental jazz thing, I think. I remember it being just really serene and kind of tense at times, but ultimately just creating a really strong, potent atmosphere. So if you're looking for something just kind of tranquil to throw in the background, this will do the trick. Troye Sivan's Bloom. Bloom, the song Bloom, is fucking dope, but it's a pretty safe, generic, trendy, commercial pop record for the most part. That doesn't really do too much for me. Richard Devine with Sort Lav. Wish I adored this, because the sound design on this album is mental. Okay, if you're an IDM fan, oh my fucking god, dude. This is gonna blow you up. The sound play here is ridiculous. But yeah, the actual songs themselves are very rarely interesting, unfortunately. But it is mind-blowing what the fuck is achieved on this thing. But when you start to dig deeper, you kind of begin to realize that there wasn't really much attention or care put into making the songs actually compelling or engaging from start to finish. It's more so just a display of really immaculate sound play, which is cool, but yeah, it doesn't really amount to much in the long haul on repeated listens like that. So yeah, Halfway with Lavender, some pretty cool art pop shit right here. I just found the vocals a little bit too melodramatic at times, but there were some really nice moments, so not bad, worth a look. Gucci Mane's Evil Genius, one of the stronger releases in Gucci Mane's catalog in my opinion, and the first half of this album is pretty fucking tight. That track with Youngboy NBA was fucking fantastic, honestly, but the second half, some of the features in the second half didn't fit for me at all. But yeah, overall though, one of the more solid things he has recently. Next up I have Logistics with Hologram. Wish it was a little bit more consistent, but man, there are some really cool, pretty, delicate, glitzy, and wonky moments of liquid funk fun to be had on this record. It wasn't too bad. Shout out to Rick Lai for giving me that recommendation on this thing, on his review. I enjoyed my time with it for the most part, but yeah, it was just a little bit inconsistent in spots, so 6 out of 10 overall. And next up I have Mick Jenkins with Pieces of a Man. I just wish this album did a better job at establishing a connection between listener and artist. Like, I feel like I'm constantly just like out of the loop of what Mick's trying to get across. Like, he's tackling some really serious, personal, and conscious issues, but never actually, you know, presenting them in a way that feels like it's something I should care about that's specific to him necessarily. It feels like he's kind of lecturing me a little bit, and I don't really find it that compelling of an experience because of that, but I do think the assembling of these songs was pretty solid. The beats are there, his bars are solid, the hooks are decent too, it's got a good pace and a nice sense of cohesion to it, so it's well put together, but I just don't really feel like there's much of a connection for me, so yeah. Moving on to the 7 out of 10s. Jesus Christ, there are so many fucking albums on this list. Courtney Marie Andrews with May Your Kindness Remains. Yeah, I'm kind of into country now because of this record. I think the opening track on this thing is wonderful. However the fuck you pronounce this band with the album They Often See Dreams About the Spring. Shout out to Jack for recommending me this. I found it quite atmospheric, moody, and brooding. It was kind of tight. Some good black metal right here. Igloo Ghost with the Steel Mogu EP. I actually did review this, it just wasn't on my channel, it was on Liam's channel. Shout out to Liam. What a fucking great dude. Yeah, go check that out on his channel, it's pretty cool. Wild Pink with Yolk in the Fur. Some really cool, shoegazy, soft, warm on the ears melodies that just kind of leave me in a trance. Pretty cool shit right there. Heather Lee with Peter Brotzman with the Sparrow Nights album. Oh, by the way, I totally forgot to bring up, there's one oh my god, I'm so fucking dumb. I completely skipped over the other Heather Lee album. Yeah, Throne, Heather Lee's Throne. I didn't actually skip over that, did I? Heather Lee with Throne. Man, the singing on this album is just a little bit over the fucking top, to be honest. But hey, the guitar work is kind of nice. So it kind of balances out and makes for something that's really atmospheric and occasionally kind of frightening and creepy, and I thought that was quite effective. So yeah, You Know with the Moody EP up next. This thing was really playful and fun. I like this dude's voice quite a lot, and the production was just so charming. So yeah, not bad at all. Catherine Joseph with From When I Wake, The Want Is. I really loved how reserved and personal her performances are across this whole album, and the instrumentation is fucking dope. The piano work, especially on songs like Safe and Mountain, fucking fantastic. So yeah, not a bad record right here. It's just occasionally it's a little bit too subdued in its approach to really strike a massively rewarding emotional chord for me in the long run. Sometimes it's just a little bit too, it just plays too close to itself, and rarely does she ever like strike a strong like vocal presence on these songs to the point where it really grabs me like that. It can feel a little bit too easygoing to really reach that point a lot of the time, but when it hits, it really does hit, so not bad. Kelly Moran with Ultraviolet. Yeah, this thing is super fucking soothing, and I really recommend listening to this when you're semi-tired at 3 a.m. and your mind is just racing with a whole bunch of crazy thoughts and you need something to just chill you out a little bit. This will fucking do it, I promise you. Novelist with Novelist Guy. Starts off kind of terribly, but when it gets going, it's got some hella fun bangers, bro. So yeah, stick with it for a bit and you'll be rewarded. It's good. Hermit and the Recluse with Orpheus versus the Sirens. Only gave it like 2 listens, but production-wise, I did not find it nearly as engaging as the other albums I have heard from Carr, but lyrically, it's every bit as compelling in my opinion. So yeah, need to give it more time though, because there's quite a lot to digest on it. So yeah, The Innocence Mission with Son on the Square, the title track Son on the Square, is sick as fuck. Sick as fuck. Yeah, unfortunately, very rarely does it ever again reach that same height, but still pretty sweet record right here. Not a bad album, pretty overlooked. Would recommend giving it a shot because, oh my god, the title track is so good. Anna Calvi with Hunter. She's quite a ferocious vocalist. I find her presence really exciting on this thing. So yeah, that's pretty tight. Next up it is Gershon's Moonological Orchestra with 2. Man, some of these tracks were really fucking stirring and exciting, and there was so much more variety compared to the debut. I thought each track had its own discernible personality, and I thought the journey it provided me with was really compelling. So yeah, good job, Josh. You fucking nailed this one. This is a really good record. And the album cover, flames. Fuck. St. John Hawk is up next with the Vicious Circles EP. First opus, one of my favorite records of 2017. And yeah, this album, or this EP, is just sort of like a little kind of... It reads to me as just like some little bonus B-sides from first opus, a little bit. With a bit more of a kind of harsh edge to it, thanks to Zora Jones. And there's something about it that just feels a little bit more violent this time around. But yeah, I would say overall, if you like first opus, then there's no reason you won't have a good time with this. I think it's quite a solid EP. It's pretty brief, just to the point. Some great bangs here, so yeah, not bad. Ben Frost with All That You Love Will Be Eviscerated. Some pretty fucking harsh soundscapes on this thing that really feel like the world is just crumbling. It's quite sick. Next up, it is Heather Lee again with the Peter Brotzman Sparrow Nights collaboration. The combination of Heather Lee's guitar and vocal stylings with the jazzier instrumentation of Peter Brotzman, I thought made for a pretty compelling listen. So yeah, not bad shit right there. Next up, it is Rabbit with Life After Death. Don't quite enjoy this as much as his more warped, fucked up, experimental, deconstructed shit that he has done before in the past on albums like Communion, but I did think the very sort of frail and fragile, sort of frightened atmosphere that was built on this new record was also very compelling. Kind of reminded me again a little bit of some rap songs by Earl Sweatshirt. I thought the production style was kind of similar, so that's pretty cool. Ichiko Alba with QP. Don't know what the fuck she's saying, but oh man, is it soothing, so yeah, not bad. Next up it is Mole with Jord. Some pretty cool black gaze crescendos going on here. I love the song Lambda especially. Dane McIntosh with Dave. I follow this dude on Instagram, get some really cool recs from his page. I would recommend it if you're a big music fan. Go follow Dane McIntosh on Instagram. He's got a really cool page, so that's just a little plug right there for someone I do enjoy the content of on Instagram. So yeah, there you go. If you use Instagram and shit, go check out this dude's page. I follow him, and he was promoting a release of his a little while back called Dave, and the idea behind Dave I think is really quite beautiful. I believe Dave is a friend of Dane's that he lost. I think that he died, and he had a connection with him through Kanye West. I think he was either a really huge Kanye West fan or that's like something they bonded over, and that's the thing with this release. Every track is sort of like taking like loads of like Kanye West samples and sort of warping them and twisting them and distorting them and flipping them in really interesting new context that I think a lot of the time on this thing was really quite spellbinding to listen to. And I think the closing track was especially really quite a beautiful and stirring way to finish things off. I found this thing quite a cathartic listen. So yeah, not bad at all. Pretty fucking good. And really, yeah, really personal and beautiful. So yeah, good shit right there. Federico Albanese is up next with By the Deep Sea. Producers. If you're looking for some piano samples, this album has got you. I'm telling you, the piano on this thing is beautiful. So yeah, good shit. Marissa Nadler is up next with some incredibly solid chamber folk. It's not particularly stunning chamber folk, but hey, it's good. So yeah, great. Moving on with Marie Davidson with Working Class Woman. Really love the attitude and sass on this thing, and the production is hard as fuck. Oh my god, the fucking bass on this thing is monstrous. Good shit. Modern Rituals with The Light That Leaks In. Admittedly, this album is quite safe, but man, it's really delicate and catchy and pretty at times. Not bad shit. Actress with London Contemporary Orchestra with the album Legeos, which is just a series of covers of other Actress songs, I believe. This time incorporating an orchestra to give them a little bit of a new sound or context. And some of the ways these tracks were spun I thought was really interesting, especially the song New. So that was pretty cool. But some of the tracks I didn't really feel all that necessary. I don't really feel like the addition of the orchestra really added too much to the song. That was massively exciting to me. But when it did hit, it was really cool. Gazelle Twin with Pastoral, some pretty maniacal and twisted protest music right here. The electronic production on this thing is frantic and insane, and the vocals are incredibly just disturbed and twisted. They take a little bit to get used to, at least they did for me, but once I did get used to them, I really appreciate how much they added to the the personality and atmosphere of this album. Young Thug with On the Run, a really great EP right here, one of the strongest things I think he's ever released. I think the song with Jaden Smith is a total fucking banger, so that's pretty cool. And the song with Elton John is wonderful too. Cities of E with Raised for a Better View, I just wish he had a little bit more charm and wit as an MC, because I do think his writing is really bold and introspective and personal and intriguing, and the production here is fantastic. Fucking adore the sampling on this album. So yeah, there are a lot of good things going for it. I just wish he had a little bit more wit as an MC, I guess. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Delta Sleep with Ghost City, some pretty melodic, exciting, and catchy math rock shit right here. The vocals are a little bit safe, but I really love the very warm and delicate guitar melodies on this thing. I think they're really nice. So that's pretty cool. Knife Nights with One Time Mirage. Futuristic production, really futuristic production. Ishmael Butler is a pretty sweet vocalist on this thing too. You know, if you like Shabazz Palaces and shit, this is definitely worth a look, because, you know, Ishmael Butler is a side project of his. And I think the production on this Knife Nights album has some fucking awesome beats. Christ, there are so many albums on this fucking list, dude. Wow. How much more do we have to... Okay, Gas with Roush. Oh man, the use of drums on this thing was quite scary. Not bad. Soft as Snow with Deep Wave. It's a pretty cool, like trip-hop influenced industrial electronic shit right here, with vocals that reminded me quite a lot of Fever Ray and Alice Glass. So that's if that sounds nice to you, then yeah, go listen. Pariah with Here From Where We Are, really pretty and awe-inspiring ambient music. Yeah, good stuff. Fennec with So That I May See You Again. Basically, they just hit the upgrade button on that Against All Logic album, and bam, it's this new Fennec, in my opinion at least. I think there's a lot more to enjoy about this than Against All Logic. I mean, not that we need to compare them, but I do think they are quite similar in their sample choices and just general structures and just sound. Ultimately, the sound is just kind of similar. It's a little bit less distorted and muffled and more fluid and pristine this time around. I just found this album so fucking hypnotic and wonderful to listen to. So yeah, good shit. Demdike Stare with Passion. Man, the industrial, cavernous, claustrophobic sound play on this thing is fucking tight as hell. This might grow on me actually quite a bit if I give it some more time. I can see this happening. This album is fucking cool. The Beths with Future Me Hates Me. What a charming and pretty little record, dude. The title track, Future Me Hates Me, is one of my favorite songs of 2018. I love how sweet the lyrical idea is. Just like, oh, I'm going to get into this relationship that's probably going to fuck me up, and future me totally hates me for it, but I don't care, because right now I just really needed that fucking bad. I thought it was quite pretty and sweet. Mid-Air Thief with Crumbling. Yeah, really creative, unique, and psychedelic, and the vocals are just so fucking soothing on this thing. I just feel like because of the language barrier, I don't really know what he's saying on these songs. Because of that, I can't really discern many of these tracks. I feel like each track kind of offers the same thing. For me, at least it incites the same emotional response out of me a lot of the time with each track. And as beautiful as it is to listen to, I feel like I kind of get the same thing out of each of the songs here for the most part. But still, there are some really stunning high points. Lonka C with One Eye Sees Red. Some pretty sweet singer-songwriter / jazz rock stuff that I thought was pretty cool. Just 3 tracks long, pretty lengthy tracks. And the second track in particular was really sweet. And that first track was just so like menacing and slick and sly. Really dug it. Ivy Lab with Death Don't Always Taste Good. Yeah, man, this is totally my shit. I think some of the drops in this thing are just so fucking cool. Just the sample, the vocal samples, and just the fuzzy ass synth bass with the really sweet, like fucking, like delicate, like synth bells and shit. They sound really cool. It's so tight. I think that just the sound here is just very much my thing. The only reservation I would have with it is, again, that some tracks just kind of feel like retreads of previous songs, I guess. But yeah, we're moving into the 8 out of 10s now, so let's just change this to an 8. And yeah, I'm like insanely tired of talking. I kind of just really want to stop right now because fucking hell, talking is painful. Zealand Ardor with Stranger Fruit. It's fucking awesome. In regards to all the albums I've talked about on this list that involve genre blending, I think this album pulls it off the most seamlessly, with some really fucking great songs. Machine Girl with the ugly art. Oh wow, this thing is really cool. Fast-paced, in-your-face, fucking manic and insane, and just gives no fucks about anything. I love how just anti-everything this album is. It's just so fuck you, and it's just insane front to back. And yeah, I dig that shit. Puce Mary's The Drought. one of the most terrifying fucking things I've heard all year. It's honestly so fucking freakish. The vocals in this thing are haunting. The production is industrial and just skin-crawling. I fucking adore it. Next up, it's the Go Team with the Semicircle. If you're looking for some fun, vibrant indie pop, this thing is going to make you fucking smile, man. Go Team, man. You can always count on Go Team to just make you feel fucking good, dude. They're fun, man. I feel like the title of the band, the Go Team, is just so appropriate, especially with the exclamation mark after go. Just like the go, like the team that's inspiring you to just go, you know? I really get that feel from that music too. The Lemon Twigs with Go to School. Concept on this album is fucking sick. It's about a monkey going to school. Genius. And how they managed to pull off an album that's over an hour long and it be this consistently exciting to look. Like, there are so many really fun, bombastic, theatrical, just cinematic tracks here that just get me fucking going, dude. And it's just so consistently just charming from beginning to end, dude. I really dug this. Jesus Peace with Only Self. Fucking hell. This thing, the song Punish. Jeez, the song Punish is ridiculous. Dude, that song is fucking hard as fuck. As far as metalcore goes, metalcore has had a couple of fucking great albums, and there is one coming up in the list soon, actually. That is also very good. But yeah, this one right here, fucking pummeling. Loved it. Julia Holter's Aviary, got to see her live, got a fucking signature, got to fucking meet her. She was so sweet, man. Oh god, she was lovely, and her performance was just absolutely heavenly. And yeah, this record, at times it's a little bit challenging and difficult to really find myself fully, you know, enveloped by or connected with. Sorry, is what I tried to fucking say. But I think the abstract compositions on this thing are really spellbinding and mesmerizing a lot of the time, to the point where I just find that they're just so fucking creative. Like, who the fuck comes up with this, dude? Like, I really think this thing is just such a one-of-a-kind listen, and I think it comes up with so many wild ideas across its 90 minutes. I can't not give it an AR. I think it's a great fucking album. I really find this thing so fucking alluring. And her vocals are just incredible. Just like that third track is fucking crazy. I love that third track. How the fuck do you come up with that? So fucking cool. Arm & Hammer are up next with Paraffin, some of the sickest fucking production I have heard on a rap album all year, bar none. And of course, Billy Woods and Elucid together are just as maniacal and dense as ever, and If He Holler is just the sickest fucking track of all time, to be honest. Hell yeah, one of all time, but I'm just saying I like it, you know what I'm trying to say. The Field with Infinite Moment. Kind of a slut for the Field. Dude's fucking tight, and I think this is the best thing he's released since his debut. I find the kind of distorted, reverby shrieks on the first track to be really chilling and icy. Divide Now is one of the most propulsive and hypnotic songs I've heard all fucking year. I can't get enough of that track. I think the song Who Goes There is really tense and progressive too. Yeah, I think this is a really fantastic record. I really love this thing. I've come back to it so fucking much. Like, holy shit, I'm always putting this album on. Like, I just jump to it a lot. It is dope. Vane with Arizona. Yo, this album is fucking Christ. This thing is insane. Oh my god, it is just completely brutal. Fucking hell. This is the musical equivalent of being punched in the face by Brock Lesnar for 22 minutes. While he just screams at you, like, right up close, just fucking, like, this thing is just, wow, this thing is, I mean, it's, imagine that, but, like, good. Imagine if that was, like, fun. That's what this album is. Xavier Stone's Thirst, total bitch for this album. Oh my god, it's basically St. John Hawk's first opus, but just a notch further, is the best way I can put it. It's just even more extreme. And, oh my god, Poet Up, the song Poet Up is one of the hardest fucking bangers of the year. Oh my god, some of the samples and vocal fucking flips on this thing are just insane, dude. How the fuck do you pull this shit off, man? Xavier Stone, a really creative producer right here. Some sick electronic shit, some really cool electronic wonky bangers. Big fan. My Show with There Is a Place is up next. I think this is a really phenomenal spiritual jazz album. Playing a video game for this track. There was Bulletstorm. I was playing Bulletstorm while I was listening to this, and it was just lovely. I was just destroying those fools in the most creative ways imaginable whilst I was being just serenaded by this beautiful ass fucking album, and I was just so comfortable. It was just wonderful. Big fan of this thing. And finally, the final album on the list, the absolute best record that I have listened to this year that I haven't reviewed, has got to be Compro by Ski Mask. This album is so amazing. This album is paced so fucking well, dude. It sounds like you just blinked and suddenly you're just floating in space, slowly descending to Earth, and the whole album is the journey down to Earth, I guess. That's kind of how this album makes me feel. And just some of the production ideas here are just sick as hell. Like the way the synths just sort of pulsate in just really chilling ways on the track Session Ad, I find really cool. And the third track, the way that beat comes in, always just gets me fucking good. Dude, Jesus Christ. This thing, Vle, I fucking love Vle. That song is so tight. Good ass shit. Big fan of Compro. And yeah, that's the end of the list. Oh my god, that feels so good to be done. How long was that? How long did I go on for? Just an hour, 59 minutes, 40 seconds. That's decent. Cool. Yeah, so now I can get on with the pre-show. Now that I've got this out of the way, I can get to work on all the lists and everything, which is good, because I'm excited to get those done. So yeah, this is going to be fun. Thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed yourself. If you actually stuck around for the whole thing, I love you. I want to hug you for 3 hours and 12 minutes. That's all. Thanks for watching.